Dynasty Kings, football by the numbers. Ain't nothing prehistoric about it. It's the fantasy land before time, man. You dig?
And we talking about them analytics.
Yeah, I dig it.
You know them digits, we fit it inside ourselves. But thinking outside of the box when we did it, outside prevails. We got 8 inside of the box, but we finished. Plenty to tell, so go ahead and plug in the pot and just listen. It's the Dynasty.
What's that?
Velociraptors it takes,
Okay.
dilapidated in a way. Man, it's a rap, no debate. Hey. Breaking it down with a dynasty. Often reside with the pylons be. Often we talking about dynasty. Rocking with reach at the times you'll see. All of these pocket online on me. Too much subjective is not for me. It's not for me. I'm rocking with the dynasty. Dynasty. Locking the lineup and I don't need filming the fables cause finally I got all the facts, no anomaly. Yeah.
Let's get it.
Y'all reach is T-Rex at best. And I don't mean to go flex. I'm a dinosaurus to death. Yeah.
Look, if you dino, you know. Welcome to the Dynasty Kings Fantasy Football Podcast. Jake and Mike, let's ride.
All right, welcome back to an episode of Dynasty Kings. I'm your host, Mike Valerie. You can find me on Twitter at @FF_DirtyMike. You can also find my work at campuscan.com. Today's topics are going to be transfer portal and mock draft trends. Now, transfer portal, I'm really just kind of touching on, not really going into too much detail here, but it's kind of important, and I'm going to get into that. It brings new life to players and stuff like that. And now a lot of the analytical stuff where it's like, or a breakout age and then early declare, all that stuff, production model, that still applies to people who have transferred. And we'll get into that a little bit here. And then mock draft trends too. Just kind of, I tweeted out a big thread. It kind of caught fire on Twitter, but I really want to emphasize and highlight how these players have trended from like week one of college football to where they're going to go, like where they're going now after the college regular season is over. So kind of like how the their value has changed. So now let's dive in. So talking about the transfer portal here first, just to highlight the past, right? So let's just highlight this last year. So last year, our top running back transfers were Eric Gray, kind of a bust. I mean, he's a bust. I'm calling him a bust. DeMarcus Bowman. Yeah, I don't know who the guy is. And then you got Ty Chandler, who I think he literally elevated his draft capital this past year, which is a good example of how transfer portal has like revived his career. Because before that, he played for Tennessee. I believe he played behind Eric Gray, and I didn't really know who he was as a prospect until he started playing for UNC. And obviously, UNC's kind of in the view of the news because of Sam Howell. Now we had Javonte and Michael Carter come out of that school last year. Anyway, Ty Chandler and Zach Charbonneau, whose career was dead in Michigan, transferred to UCLA, and now he's like, I think he's a consensus top 5, top 6. So, and he's like constantly getting mock draft in the 3rd round, which we'll talk about here pretty soon. Now for wide receivers, we have top wide receiver transfers Wan'Dale Robinson, who's now consistently getting 2nd round draft capital buzz. Excuse me. A BYU player, not really getting draft capital buzz. And then you got Jameson Williams, Ohio State to Alabama. And he's like getting almost 1st round buzz now. He's 1st round, upper 2nd round buzz. I don't think he falls out of the top 40. I think he's going to be in the 30 area. Like he'll get like back end ones. I'm talking about like 26 to 28. Like I think 26 got to be his peak. But I truly don't think he falls past like pick 35. And he's a growing favorite for my prospect. Now, I've not like dove in yet, and I've not written a profile for him. I'm really looking forward to it, though. But he's an early declare. Both him and Wando still fall in the early declare profiles. They're obviously went off, breakout age, whatever. Like they hit analytical marks, and it doesn't matter they didn't hit on their first school, which for Wandale was Nebraska. He was a running back who turned wide receiver. And then for Jameson Williams, who was in the very crowded Ohio State receiving room, wasn't going to get his opportunity. So he said, all right, I'll go to Alabama. And he took the starting role from John Mechie and just absolutely just took off. And he's a phenomenal talent. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about him at the next level. I think he'll translate very well. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So, like that's why the transfer portal is important. So, and just to highlight, I want to highlight some guys coming out next year Now, I don't think this next group of like the top end. I'm just looking at the top guys. These top guys from the transfer portal are as good as last year's grouping, but I'm just gonna go through them here. So for quarterback, yeah, Quinn Ewers from Ohio, 5-star prospect. He finished up his high school early. Obviously, C.J. Stroud's the quarterback there for the future, but Quinn Ewers, like it's not that he didn't get the job because he's bad. He's just the new kid on the block. Like I'm very excited to see where he goes next year, and I mean wherever he goes, he's gonna start, and he's supposed to. I think he's projected the 2024 101 overall, which again, super early to do that mock draft stuff, but it just goes to show the expected talent that he's supposed to bring to a program. Spencer Rattler, huge disappointment in Oklahoma. Now he's played 3 seasons. I mean, early declare stuff doesn't really matter for quarterbacks, but I'm going to highlight and echo something that Felix did for Campus of Canton. Spencer Rattler was like the 101 overall pick this season, and now he's not even being mock drafted. Like he's not being mock drafted at all. He can't be. He's in the transfer portal, so he's not eligible to declare. But even before that, like he wasn't getting mock drafted at all to anywhere. And for him to transfer going from a first-round draft capital somewhere else, there's not a single example of where a player has gotten back that first-round draft capital. So Spencer Rattler is dead to me. Let me just put it like that. Like he's done. I'm not clued in on Spencer Rattler. Like that's it. Dylan Gabriel from UCF. He got hurt this year. And he moved on. So like that's really it. So it's not like he's a bad talent. He's really putting up solid numbers to start off the season. And he transferred out. So he's definitely someone to watch. Jake Haener, that old man. He's got 4 years in college. The past 4-star recruit. Last 3 guys were all 4-star recruits. Quinn Ewers is a 5-star recruit. And he didn't play in 2019, so he's been in for some time. He's been in for 5 seasons. Like he's been around since 2017. I think he's been around since before Donald Trump was president. Like, come on, like he's old. Like that's an old man in college football. Miles Brennan from LSU, he's even older. But anyway, I'm putting him out there because he's a high-end prospect. And then Adrian Martinez from Nebraska, he's a dual threat guy. I don't really see the NFL upside, but again, he's just one of those high-end transfer portal guys that can really change a program around. I'm going to move on to running back here because this is really what I want to talk about is running backs and wide receivers here. The 2 running backs in this transfer portal are Zach Evans and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably the second running back off the draft board next year behind Bijan Robinson. He is really good. I mean, he is an excellent talent. Went to Georgia Tech. That's a horrible line. The coach, the play calling there is pretty bland. And he's kind of tired. He wants to go to a big school. And now he's getting rumored, just rumored. We don't know yet. He's getting rumored to going to Alabama, which like, I mean, my mind's exploding right now. Like him and Bryce Young and maybe John Mechie comes back, whatever. They always have guys in the chute to step up. So if Alabama gets Jahmyr Gibbs next year, like they're winning the national championship. I mean, they already had good odds to begin with, but I'm saying like it's guaranteed then, and very excited about that. Now the other one is Zach Evans, TCU. He's a past 5-star recruit. Both these guys, by the way, have 2 years in college, so they're not old prospects. Like they're still young and in their prime. He's got some off the field issues. I couldn't tell you the complete details for it, but all I know is that there might be some maturity issues, and that's kind of a red flag going into the draft. He can turn it around. It could just be a toxic environment, and just a fresh start might be what he needs to get his mind straight and get him focused. But he is also a top prospect here. The next running backs here, I got 2 others. I got Tyon Evans from Tennessee. He's a JUCO transfer, went to Tennessee, and didn't really get a lot of touches. I think he's got like 80-some touches. Again, a prospect I don't really know. Somebody to keep an eye on, though, because he's one of these top transfer recruits as running back. But I love looking into JUCO recruits, so I will be looking into them later on in the season. And then Jalen Berger, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's an absolute running back factory. Jonathan Taylor, for example, Melvin Gordon, James White. Braylon Allen is the new hotness over there. Braylon Allen is just absolutely taken off. I think he's top 2 running backs right now for 2024. And clearly, there's no room for Jalen Berger there. Now, there was a real fan following for Jalen Berger. People really like Jalen Berger. So, I mean, my eyes are on him. I mean, because Wisconsin, I don't know. I like that Wisconsin pedigree. Yeah, sure, he lost his job to Braylon Allen, but Braylon Allen to me is like almost a first-round prospect for 2024 at the moment. I mean, at the moment, again, way too early, but he's he is a top 2 running back for 2024, and I can't really fault a guy for losing a battle to a phenomenal running back talent like that, you know? So those are the 4 guys I'm paying attention to, and I'm looking for them to revive their careers. Like they're not washed, they're not done yet, they're still young and they're still there. And those are the gems to me in this transfer portal, are the running back class. Now let's get into the wide receivers here real quick. Only gonna highlight 4 here. We got Jaden Hazelwood. He used to be a 5-star recruit, plays for Oklahoma. I couldn't tell you anything he did this year. I really hated watching Oklahoma football. Marvin Mims is my guy. Mario Williams is Felix's guy over there. So I think he was maybe the 3rd option at best. I looked into him. He's a contested catch. I'm not really into contested catch receivers. I don't think he really excels at it either. He's also outside of that early declare prospect. So to me, he's not a first-round draft pick. He won't ever be. You know, he's not going to be Jameson Williams. He won't be, to me, a second-round pick, but he could maybe get 3rd-round draft capital if he really takes off. But like me and most of the guys at Campus Duquesne, we are not fans of contested catch guys like at the NFL. I mean, at the college level. At the NFL level, it's a whole other animal. Like you have to be like Drake London, just absolutely destroying competition for us to feel confident in you as a contested catch receiver at the next level. The next one is Taj Harris. He's got 4 seasons. So again, not an early declare. And he hasn't really shown much production. He's been around for a while. I don't think he has much NFL upside. He's going to Kentucky, so we actually know where he's going. He's committed to Kentucky, who's an emerging offense. I went to Kentucky, so anyway, Will Levis needs to get it together against upper-ranking SEC competition. I just had a trade go through in my league. I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, and yeah, so I mean, Wandale Robinson transferred and he took over. I think Josh Lee has to leave this program this year. Wandale should leave. Like his draft capital is up there. He should leave for himself. And the door's wide open there for them to take over. They have 2 recruits that are 4-stars and 1 3-star wide receiver. So again, like I'm saying, Will Levis has the arm strength, has to work on some other things, but the door is open for someone to step up, and I think he can be a college producer. Micah Pittman for Oregon. Highlighting him because he's Michael Pittman's brother, maybe cousin. I think it's a brother, and I'm a big Michael Pittman fan. So, before I should have said this at the start. If you're listening to this and you want to leave a comment for me to like respond with, I think comments only go through on StreamYard through YouTube. So if you want to comment or ask me questions on anything, which I will absolutely answer any questions on the spot, you have to go through YouTube to do that, not through Twitter. So just for anybody wondering, my hundreds of thousands of followers, of course. So yeah, all right, let me get back to Michael Pittman. He's an Oregon player. I don't really see the NFL upside either, but I think the family pedigree is there. You know, I really do kind of believe in genetics there. He's got 3 years in college, so he's missing that early declare window. He used to be a 4-star recruit, so maybe it's there. And then the last one, and my growing favorite, and the whole reason why I wanted to bring this up, is Tyrese Chambers. I'm a huge fan of Tyrese Chambers. Tyrese Chambers plays for FIU. That team is 1-11. And he's a 1,000-yard receiver. There are 30 1,000-yard receivers this year in college, and this guy did it on a G5 team that is 1-11. He had 3 games over 150 yards, and I like the talent. And I can't remember who said it. I'm going to credit Alfred with this at Campus Duquesne for G5 recruits, where like he's only on board if these guys are studs like throughout their whole career. Like, you know, not just, I broke out 1 year or 2 years. It's like, no, like for 3 years, he absolutely dominated competition. Now, so he started out JUCO, transferred to Sacred Heart University. He took over there too. He was the top receiver there, and he lit up the scene as a sophomore. Now as a junior, he transferred again, and this time he transferred to FIU. He chose FIU over Coastal Carolina. I don't know who does that. I would much rather have Grayson McCall throwing me the ball, an actual ranked like college team, than whatever FIU's got going on. So he chose FIU, whatever. Anyway, I think he looks great. I think he shows great hands. He's got some route running ability, some physicality. He's great in contested catches too. He doesn't do any body catches. I really think he's a legit prospect. And now if he transfers to the Power 5 and he again continues these numbers, let's just say he's a 1,000-yard receiver. I'm gonna believe in him. I'm gonna believe that he could probably get day 2 draft capital, like back end day 2 draft capital. I'm like putting my stamp on it. Currently, his offers are like Nebraska and Syracuse. Doesn't really excite me, but and I don't know if I'm expecting too much out of him going from FIU. Like he's not going to go to Alabama from FIU. Like that's not happening. So anyway, Tyrese Chambers to me is the wide receiver gem in this class, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play this upcoming season. Now that wraps up my transfer portal to you. So just again to go over it, transfer portal gives life to players' careers that are kind of like stalled, like Zach Charbonneau, Jamison Williams, Wando Robinson. There's another running back. I'm forgetting. Ty Chandler, not getting day 2 draft capital, but I don't know. He's probably a UDFA last year. Now this year he's getting like day 3 draft capital. Like I think he does. Yeah, I think he could be like an early down back. Anyway, I think the transfer portal is a chance for these guys to bounce back. These upper end guys to bounce back. So there you have it. That's transfer portals. Now let's get into mock draft trends. And why I want to highlight this is that there's this great site. It's called NFLmockdraftdatabase.com. Now you can go in there and do your own mock drafts. Like if you're a Giants fan and you're tired of Daniel Jones throwing terrible balls, then you can mock draft yourself a quarterback and mock draft your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth round, your sixth round. See how it looks. Make you feel a little better about your team's future. But what I do like about this is that I can see all of the big companies like the Draft Network, Tankathon, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated. I can see their mock drafts. You know, as much as I think I'm right and I'm better than other people, you know, I like my rankings more than other people. This is what the consensus is saying. And I looked at like their prior year. So I looked at like their last year consensus big board. And like for the top 50, they nailed it. Like, yeah, give or take like 1 or 2 spots. But like for the top 50, like those guys all went like top 50. Maybe 1 or 2 dropped out. After that, when you get down to like round 2, round 3, there were some misses for wide receiver. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, for example. I'm a big fan of Amon-Ra. He was projected 62 overall on their consensus big board, and he went like I think like 108, 109, which is a really big drop off, puts him out of that 3rd round range, which is like not the sweet spot, so a little depressing, but you get my point. Is that this website's actually kind of accurate when it gets everyone's mock drafts together. So now what I did was I took the consensus data from week 1. So, you know, it doesn't matter about mock drafts before that, because it's the off season. Nobody has any new information and new data to really go off of. Like the spring game, sure, but like after that, like that's really it. Besides like some insider info, like I'm friends with the personal trainer at University of Kentucky, so I know that Wando's the truth, you know. But like that's not going to really affect it that much. So I looked at their consensus data week 1, and then I compared it these last 2 weeks when the regular season ended. So yeah, we had the conference championships this past weekend, but for most players, their season ended 2 weeks ago, and I compared where their mock drafts were those last 2 weeks. Not like middle of the season, not October, not November, but I'm talking about like the last 2 weeks. I looked at those mock drafts and just compiled the average their draft position was from these big companies last 2 weeks after the season was over. And I thought it was pretty interesting because I wanted to see trends. I really did. And it was insightful. It was really insightful. So let me get my notes up here. Okay. We'll just start off with quarterbacks here. So from week 1, the top quarterback now is Matt Corral. I think everyone agrees on that. I know the mock drafts agree. I agree. I think Matt Corral is the best prospect coming out. His rank week 1 was 44th overall. So he was a mid-second. Well, yeah, mid-second. And now he's the 8th overall pick pretty consistently. He's pretty consistent going 8 overall, and I think that makes sense. Like that's great. Okay, so like moving on, the next quarterbacks going, I'll just go in order. It's Malik Willis at 13, Desmond Ridder at 14, Kenny Pickett at 15, Carson Strong at 15, and Sam Howell at 16. Now the reason why we have repeat numbers is that these are averages. Now looking at these individual mock drafts, like actually going through them, it's pretty consistent that there's pretty much 4 quarterbacks going in the first round, and then 2 falling into the second round, and it's always a different 2. Like it's always a mix with all these companies, so it's really a big big mystery, and I really enjoy that. So No, not all 6 of these guys are going in the first round, and I don't believe that either. I don't think anybody believes that, but I do think 4 of them go in the first round. Like at the moment, I really do. So, and of those 4, let me just say, you got Malik Willis, who's trending up from 27 to 13 overall. Desmond Ritter, who's going from 36 to 14 overall. I don't really agree with that. Kenny Pickett, who's going from 109 overall to 15. Agree with that. Carson Strong, 29 to 15. I think Carson Strong should stay in that 29 area. And then Sam Howell, who's the only quarterback on this list who is trending down. He was number 5 overall in their consensus picks, and he's down to 16. And more consistently, I'm seeing him go like back of the first. He's not always a first round talent when I see these mock drafts. So yeah, that's for quarterbacks. You got 2 guys slipping into the back end of the third, and that's Tanner McKee. That's the Stanford quarterback who honestly I haven't looked at like at all, like really haven't. So I'll have to look into him. I mean, Davis Mills got draft capital last year, and I thought he was like nothing special, and that they were just really drafting him based off his high school profile rather than what he did in college, because his high school profile was amazing. And then you got Bailey Zapp from WKU and a Senior Bowl invite. So Bailey Zapp looking to raise his draft capital even more, and he has the opportunity to do it. But at the moment, he's looking like he's a back end of the third round pick. So that's exciting. Let's get into the skill positions though, like the real stuff we care about for running backs. Right, our top running back right now, which shocked me, and again, this is just like consensus data, and it can change. I think it will change. I don't really believe this, but it's Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, who's made a run for the Heisman here. He's number 45 overall consensus data. So just take note that it's consistent. It's consistent that no running back is going in the first round this year. Last year you had Najee, Etienne. I don't believe in Etienne, but whatever. There's 2 guys in the first last year. The year before you had just CEH, which was kind of wild because it was a pretty stacked class. Went 32nd overall. Excuse me for that. So we're going to keep moving forward. So after Kenneth Walker at 45, Isaiah Spiller is 46, and Breece Hall is 51. Now, Spiller and Breece Hall are both trending down. So Spiller went from 35 to 46, and Hall went from 49 to 51. So not much of a downtrend for Hall, but definitely a downtrend for Spiller. I like both these prospects. I don't have anything really negative to say. I'm a more of a Breece Hall fan than a Spiller fan. My only thing about Spiller is that he splits carries with, I'm going to mess this up, but like Achane. And if Spiller was that great of a talent, I don't think he should be splitting carries in college. I mean, for a team that's ranked and trying to win national championships, like they beat Alabama, like whatever. I just don't. I think if Spiller was the truth, he wouldn't be splitting carries with Achane. Now that's just a production model thing. That's not like his actual skill. I think he has the skill. From a production model standpoint, that's a concern of mine. So, and Breece Hall, big fan of Breece Hall. That's my true love right there. Breece Hall, RB1 in the class for me. Now, I'm just going to read through the next 5. They've all been trending up. So preseason, right? Preseason, you've probably heard about how this class is not good. This class is terrible. Like trade away these picks. And I actually did that in one league, like right away. But not in my leagues, just one. Most of this class is trending up. Those are only 2 players trending down for running back, right? And the only one trending down for quarterback was Sam Howell. Now trending up for running backs is Tyler Algier, my guy. He's my guy from BYU. Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson from Alabama, Kyron from Notre Dame, Zach Charbonneau, and Rashad White. Now let's start off with Tyler Algier. So he's 4th at 57 overall. Now here's the thing. There wasn't enough data points there. He was only in like 2 mock drafts. And now I'm assuming, well, I know. I actually looked. I went back and looked. He wasn't in those other mock drafts. A lot of these mock drafts are just like the first 3 rounds. I mean, it's all I look at is first 3 rounds. But a lot of these mock drafts are the first 3 rounds. So if you can assume that if he's not in these first 3 rounds, and some of these mock drafts didn't go all the way to like round 7, then they just left his name off, and that kind of skews the data a little bit. So again, take Tyler Algier with a grain of salt, but definitely highlight. And this is also true for Rashad White, by the way. They both don't have enough data points. But it's just trying to highlight that they're slipping into the third round. That's why I want to highlight they're slipping into people's mock drafts and third rounds. And then as the season, all season goes along, and the combine too, I hope that both those names be brought up more and get elevated more. All right, so and then Kyron Williams went from 90 to 65, so back end of just outside the second round, so top of the third. Brian Robinson, who I want to talk about. Now, Kyron Williams. I'm going to talk about Kyron Williams real quick, actually. I don't think he's a workhorse running back, but I think he has a lot of elite traits that like teams are going to love. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Patriots. He's not going to be a goal line carry guy, but he can pass block. He can catch balls. He is the ultimate third down running back in a committee. And if you're into that for fantasy, go ahead. Not for me. I want a workhorse. But I think he's going to be productive and he's going to have a place in the league. And I think he's a phenomenal NFL talent too. Like he's going to fit in. He's going to fit in really well into a committee. Brian Robinson, he's old. He's an Alabama running back. This is his first year as the workhorse for Alabama, and he's a fifth-year senior. He's a great character. Like he's a great vet, but I don't think he's a great player. You know what I'm saying? Like he's past his prime. I don't think he has the NFL upside. And the fact that he's a fifth-year senior running back coming out of Alabama, I don't see how he gets day 2 draft capital. Like I really don't think it's going to happen. He's too old. And if you're going to be an old prospect, you have to be killing it. Like Calvin Ridley, he's an older prospect when he came out. He killed it. You know, Devontae, well, no, Donix wasn't really, he wasn't a fifth-year senior. But anyway, my point is that these older prospects have to actually dominate competition, and Brian Robinson did not do that. He was good, but like he didn't dominate competition. Zach Charbonneau, who we talked about in the transfer portal because he revived his career. Remember that. Take notes. He looks great. He's my favorite power back in the group. Now, what I mean by power back, I'm probably going to do an episode on this, is that those guys are like early down backs. Like they don't give you a lot in the pass catching. They don't give you like a lot of wiggle. Like maybe they're like a one-cut runner, but they can absolutely push a pile. I like Zach Charbonneau. He looks pretty fast. He looks big. He has vision too. I've seen him, instead of just opting to push the pile, he'll look to kick it out wide and get those extra yards around the edge. And that's why I like Zach Charbonneau. And I think he will get the draft capital. I'm not really sure if I believe in him as an NFL talent, but out of there's like the power back category, I think he's probably my favorite. Not a workhorse though. I think he's an early down back, like first, second down. And then Rachaad White, who I didn't get to talk about. I have a small amount of data points for him. Rachaad White, invited to the Senior Bowl, has the opportunity to raise his draft capital even more than it already is. And I think he's the best pass catching back. He's pretty fluid. He gained 15 pounds this offseason because he was pretty slender. Really great contact balance for how tall he is too, because he's 6'1". But I believe that his frame can support even more weight. Like I really do think he can be like Najee Harris and operate at 230 pounds and be just fine, and without losing speed or agility. The issue again is that he's older. Now again, for me, these older prospects have to dominate competition. Now Rachaad White, I wouldn't say he dominated, but like he definitely did better than Brian Robinson in my opinion, with like lesser talent surrounding him. So I'm interested. He won't be a first round talent in your rookie drafts, that's for sure. I'd be interested to see where he goes, where he lands, but he is an older prospect. A JUCO transfer too, so he definitely grinded pretty hard to get here. And yeah, I just love his story. I can go on about Rachaad White, but let's move on. We're going to talk about wide receivers here. Now, again, to highlight the start of the season story about how this class was weaker, there's only 2 guys here in the top 50. Top 50. Okay. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 guys have raised their draft capital into the top 50. 6 of them have raised their draft capital up there, and 2 or 3 fell off. So let's just get into it. All right. The top receiving option here, which you guys all could have guessed, is Garrett Wilson out of OSU. He was 18 overall preseason, and now he is 11. So he's getting that early first round draft capital. And there's always one receiver that goes like top 15, I think, each year. I'm trying to think about. Last year, you have Waddle, you had Devonta Smith, you had Jamar Chase. There's 3 guys right there. I don't think I'm missing anybody. And then the year before that, you had Ruggs was the first one off the board. And I believe Judy and CD, I want to say they were 15, 16. They could have been 16, 17. Anyway, Ruggs went, I think, 15 overall. So anyway, moving forward from Garrett Wilson now, someone that's lost a little bit of draft capital, just a little bit, is Chris Olave. He went from 13 overall to 15. So Garrett Wilson flipped over and took over the top wide receiver position. And just like for some food for thought here with Chris Olave, he didn't go to the NFL last year to be an early declare. Like that's a huge red flag. You know, if you're in a Power 5 conference and scouts tell you to, hey, you should stick around for a year instead of move on to the next level when you're already a part of an elite team, you're already a proven talent. Like, I thought he was great last year. It's a red flag for me. And I don't see any improvement on the field. Like, he wasn't bad by any chance at all this year. I'm just saying that I don't see the reason why he stayed. I just don't see it. And then like the press conference, he's like telling people he wanted to bulk up. I don't think he bulked up one bit. I'd be surprised he weighs 2 more pounds than he did last year. I'd be very surprised. And then if you look at just the box score sheet, again, just the production profile, not the talent profile, he's the 3rd receiving option on that team. The 3rd. He has a freshman and a junior ahead of him. Freshman? Anyway. Sophomore? Okay. Anyway, JSN's above him, and same with Garrett Wilson. They're both younger prospects, and they're both above him on the board. It's just a red flag for me. I'm not really about it. I'm sure other people. I'm sure every single draft people will draft him ahead of me. He's still a first round talent. I'm just not taking him in the top half of the first round at the moment. Now Drake London's the next one. Drake London. So I'm going to speak for myself. Something for the C2C guys, too. I did not like Drake London coming out. Last year, he took 92% of snaps out of the slot, and he's 6'5". Like, why is a 6'5" guy taking snaps out of the slot? Like, put him out wide. Like, why not? He can't beat press. He can't jump. Like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with him? And then when you watch the plays, it's a lot of like 3 wide receiver sets, and like the 2 other receivers would draw off coverage and then would leave like Drake London open for like a screen pass or something from Keaton Slovis. And he just looked. I didn't think he looked good last year. This year though, different story. Very opposite. He lines up out wide for most snaps, like 80%. He is dominating competition. And even though I don't like contested catch receivers, he is killing the contested catch game. I mean, these receivers can't do anything about it. Like he's dominating so hard that I think he can do it again in the NFL. Like I really do. Anyway, he's got a broken ankle. It's not a muscle thing, so like that's really not a big deal. He'll probably come out, and he went from 43 to 17. Maybe he drops like 2 or 3 spots because of that broken ankle, but that's not going to be a major factor. The next one is Jahan Dotson. I called this one. Oh, nope, sorry, I skipped one. Treylon Burks. My wide receiver 1 for Dynasty. Treylon Burks. He went from 32 to 22. So he's already that back end of the first round grade. He's now getting that mid first round grade, which I think he belongs there. He reminds me of AJ Brown. He really does. I think someone else put out there, he reminded him of Josh Gordon, early Josh Gordon. Great, 2 great comps, honestly. And yeah, I mean, he hasn't had great quarterbacks throw to him, and he's still out there producing. He's killing it. He's an absolute monster, and he's fast. Like he's 6'2", 230. 6'4". He's tall, weighs 230 pounds, and he still can burn DBs, like just straight line speed. Next you got Jahan Dotson out there. Jahan Dotson, who's I called this one. I'm patting myself on the back. I'm doing it. I'm victory lapping, baby. Let's go. Jahan Dotson went from 71 overall to 30. So he's a back end the first round pick. He's a late declare from Penn State. I don't know how good he'll be in the NFL. He's going to get the capital. He's going to get the opportunity. I think he's going to run in the slot. I don't really see I don't see wide receiver 2 upside. I just don't. But he's a great play. I'm not out on him. I'm just saying he won't be in one of my first round picks. I don't expect him to go in the first round, but I think he'll go in the second round. Now, here's the guy that I'm really starting to fall in love with, and I have not done a profile on him. I'm really excited about is Jameson Williams. Again, another transfer portal guy who was a no-name. I mean, you look him up, he's got like less than 30 catches to his name going into the season, and now he's just an absolute stud. I mean, he's a stud. He's a burner. He's a stud. He went from 134 overall to 34. So a 100-point jump just outside the first round. I think he can go in the first round. If not, I really don't see him falling below 35. So I think it's pretty accurate where he's at 34. He's great. Anyway, another upward trend. So just to go over here, that's 5 out of 6 guys with an upward trend. I mean, Chris Olave went down a little bit, but like whatever. Okay, so 5 guys here of an upward trend. Now here's the first downtrend. It's going to be John Mechie. He's been absolutely disappointing. I'm going to straight up say it like that. He's been disappointing. I was hoping he'd take the next step. He has not. I don't know what to comment on. I haven't gone back and looked through his games. I really haven't. I haven't looked that closely. I'm very excited down the off season, grind some tape. I love grinding tape. But he went from 31 to 44. And I'm surprised that the drop wasn't more than that. Because he looks like a nothing special slot, you know? Like Jahan Dotson looks great, you know, and John Mechie does not. So, and he just tore his ACL on this, last week. So I imagine his draft capital falls like a rock after that. And I also imagine that he doesn't come out to the draft because his capital will drop, and then he has to prove to teams that he still got it. You know, I mean that's the cruel way of the game. But these teams don't want to invest in early draft capital on a guy that tore an ACL. Like they don't want to gamble the dice. GMs don't want to gamble their job on putting a high end draft capital on a guy that tore an ACL. Then like they're not sure he's going to come back. Like the same. So looking for John Mechie to fall even further. Now, the next guy is David Bell, who was 62 overall, so back into the second, which I'm kind of surprised about. I was a big fan of David Bell, too. And he's getting into the mid-second at 48. All right, so just again, first 2-round draft. Let me just see this. Oh, one more. George Pickens. George Pickens also losing draft capital, 24 overall preseason. He had an off-season injury, though. You know, like, I mean, come on. Like, he had an off-season injury. And he's now fallen to 56 overall. So, and again, I think that's all injury concern. Everyone loves the talent of George Pickens. Now, I actually exclude him out of my rankings because I don't know if he's coming out. Like, if players don't play the whole season, I'm not going to rank them as if they were the same player last year when they had 2 kneecaps and now he's missing a knee. You know, I want to see that he still has it. So I'm also like the NFL where I want them to prove that they're the same player as they were before. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, George Pickens is top 3 in the class. Like I don't really want to do that and just bank on his knee being okay. So he's back to playing though. He played last week. Had a 37-yard catch. I think that was his only catch the whole game. And so I'm looking forward to. Well, they're in those college playoffs. So I really hope he comes out, has a big game, proves everybody he still has it. But at the moment, he's still got the second round draft capital. Back around the second right now. But obviously he's got that first round upside. And I believe him. Everyone believes him. I don't think anyone's saying otherwise. I just want him to prove it and then make me feel better. So that's it for the second round, right? So we got in the second round, you got Jameson Williams, John Mechie, David Bell, and George Pickens. Now, 2 of those players used to be first round draft capital, and now they're in the second. That's John Mechie and George Pickens, and 2 people elevated. That's Jameson Williams, who was like a 5th round grade, to like an early second, and David Bell, who's a mid-round second. And I think both those guys, by the way, are like can't miss prospects. I know you got to be careful when you say that phrase, but I really like both those prospects a lot going into this year. And obviously other people do too because they're trending upward. Now here's the fun part. I'm just going to go over these names really fast. You got Jalen Tolbert. He's a G5 receiver. This is going to be your first G5 receiver on the board here. Justin Ross, who losing draft capital from 46 to 82. He was an absolute stud his freshman, sophomore year. Had a almost career-ending injury, but he came back from, and now he doesn't look so good. He's a contested catch receiver. Again, in the same category. Contested catch receiver. He's not dominating his game at the college level. Am I now just assume that he's going to dominate the next level? Like, no, I don't. And he's not like a route runner either. I think some people from the NFL Draft Bible think he can run routes, but like he can't. He absolutely cannot. All right, next you got Khalil Shakir, the second G5 receiver at 83, by the way. So these guys are 77, 82, 83. Wandale Robinson at 83. Romeo Dubs at 83. Dante Demas at 94. Zay Flowers at 93. And then you got Javon Helai at 103. Now, the reason why, if you're doing math in your head and you're like, 103 doesn't count, the third round last year ended at the 105th pick. Because you have these supplementary picks, I almost said draft, the supplementary picks that go into the third round from like teams losing very valuable vets and signing with a new team. So that's why I stopped at 105. I need some water on. So I'm going to do these episodes by myself, man. My mouth getting dry out here. We're almost at 40 minutes. All right. Which I'm gonna get water next time. I'm absolutely getting water next time. Where's my notes? I lost them again. Okay, so Jalen Tolbert, I like him. He's a potential alpha at the next level. He weighs 200 pounds. He's 6'3". He also has a Senior Bowl invite, so he has the opportunity to raise that draft capital again, which I would love. Yeah, I really love. Justin Ross, he's off my board. I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if he gets third round draft capital. Like, I just don't believe it. Like, he has done nothing to prove that he belongs with these other guys in the second and third round. And if he goes in the third round, I am absolutely letting every other league mate draft him. I'm not touching him. I won't. I absolutely won't. Like, there's no way he could go. He could go to the perfect destination. I won't touch him. I really don't believe in him at all whatsoever. You got Khalil Shakir. Now, he's also my guy here. I was a big fan of him last year. Him and Jahan Dotson, I thought were going to raise their draft capital the most. He was 155. What is that, like a 6th to 7th round grade? And now he's a back end of the third. And again, it's a G5 prospect. Now, crediting Alfred here at Campus Scan said, is that he needs these guys. Actually, I really want to say it was PJ. If someone from Campus Scan is listening to this and I got the wrong person down, I'm so sorry. I'm going to just say PJ for now on so I can split the credit between two guys. These guys have to dominate every single year, right? Like, that's how they feel good about it. And like, I agree too. So if I go back to like Cooper Kupp, for example, he dominated competition every single year. Deontay Johnson, he was great for 2 years. Not so much his freshman year, but like, whatever. And then Devontae Adams, he dominated his competition every single year. Like, he stomped it. And same with Khalil Shakir here. The last 3 years, he has been dominant. He's been great on the field. So, and Jalen Tolbert the last 2 years. So these two guys are seniors, not early declares. I get it, but they're coming from the G5, and G5 receivers don't have eyes on them the way Power 5 receivers do. So it does take a little more attention for them to get that buzz. I'm just saying, I know analytics is going to say early declare is the way to go, but for these G5 guys, like, that's the exception in my head, is if they've been dominant for their years of playing over there. So Khalil Shakir, 155 to 83. I think he's really smooth. Like, honestly, when I watch Khalil Shakir and like Chris Olave as a player, I don't think there's much difference in skill. I really don't. I think they're very similar in skill and style of play. I think Khalil Shakir is very similar to Rashad Bateman in style of play. It just comes from a G5 school. So that's my 2 bits on Khalil Shakir. I think I give him like a mid-second round grade for your rookie drafts. Like, that's where he is right now for me. Wan'Dale Robinson, again. Came to Kentucky. He's definitely got a really great dominator rating. He kills the stat sheets. I just don't know about his NFL upside. I really don't. That's all I gotta say about that. I gotta dig in. I really do. I've actually watched all the Kentucky games. I'm from Kentucky. Like, that's where I went to school. But I'm really cautious about his NFL upside. But he hits every single analytical marker. Like, he does. He really does. He hits every single analytical marker. It's just that these guys that are small, I need to see like elite traits out of them, like Elijah Moore. Like, I was all in Elijah Moore because I really believe in that talent. So these small guys, for me, I actually don't know how short Wan'Dale Robinson is off the top of my head. Anyway, these smaller guys, if he fits this category, I need to see elite traits and elite ability. And I don't know if Wan'Dale is elite in anything. So now let's move on. Romeo Dubs. He's lost draft capital. He was 61 preseason, which was surprising to me that he was second round grade to mid-third, which is where I think is appropriate for him. Dante Demas, he's probably the biggest riser, or second biggest riser from Maryland. He's an older prospect. I want to say he was a JUCO transfer as well, and he's been around for maybe 4 to 5 years. And he's also coming off a major injury. So I am very surprised that he's 94 overall. And now, again, I put an asterisk next to it on my notes, which means that he is a small sample size guy. So I would bet against him getting that draft capital. And I also wouldn't pick him if he did. So whatever. Someone else can pick him up. Zay Flowers, the next one at 96. Zay Flowers has a pretty good following. Like, people are big fans of Zay Flowers. I am probably going to write his profile next because I did not do one the past season. I'm not a fan. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a great wide receiver 3 for his team, whichever team he goes to. I think he has like really. I think he rounds the corner of his routes. I think his routes are clean, but he's really shifty. Like you see, like his when he's got like the yak ability. So like he's really shifty, which to me means that he has the ability to tighten up these routes. So not too worried about that. I don't like his hands. He body catches a ton, and he drops a lot of balls on out routes. Like I don't know. He only catch balls that are in between the hashes for whatever reason. And then he doesn't have much contested catch ability. He's light. He's 5'11" and he weighs 180. And without being really elite and much, he has the attributes that you can't teach. Speed, like the footwork, you really can't teach that. He's got it. It's just the other stuff he has to clean up. Whatever. I just don't personally see the upside. He's probably going to go in the second round of almost all your mock drafts. I believe he's going to get day 2 draft capital back end of the third round. I'm just not a fan, but I believe he goes there. If you're a fan, that's fine. You can take that. You can take that. I won't. Not me. Zay Flowers. Just said Zay Flowers. The last one is Javon Halai. Whatever. I can't say it. He's not going to be on my rosters. He reminds me a lot of Dax Milne from BYU. He got 6th round draft capital. He's nothing special. Trying to think about other guys that fit that category. I think he's a product of the system. I don't think he has any elite abilities. He just happened to be that quarterback's favorite target, and he did really well. And that's really it. Sorry, that's all I gotta say for Javon Halai. I don't have anything nice to say. And that's it. So again, there's only 5 guys here that lower their draft capital, and there's 12 that raised them in the offseason. So once again, I'm just trying to hammer home that this draft class has talent and looks good. It's improved. It's not what it was before, but it looks good. It really does. Now I'm going to skip through tight ends. Everyone who listens to me knows that I do not care about tight ends. Like it's just a gamble if they're going to hit or not. I'm seeing people talk about Irv Smith. You know, Irv Smith is 6'2". Go ahead and look at the height of like the top like tight ends in the league. They're all 6'5". The smallest one's like George Kittle, and he's 6'4" and 245. I don't see anybody 6'2" being even close to relevant, right, as a tight end. And people are like, oh yeah, like all these Tyler Conklin targets that's Irv Smith in the future. Like, no, it's not. I mean, we see Noah Fant. I like Noah Fant. Like he's a Noah Fart now. He sucks. It sucked, but he's not what we thought he was going to be, and I don't think he will be. Same with Irv Smith. I don't see the upside. Like, he doesn't have the physical profile to me, and physical profiles I think actually matter at the NFL level. They really do. I just thought of like 3 reasons why that's false, like Devontae Smith. Okay, anyway, for the tight end, I believe in physical profiles, not for wide receivers as much. I used to be, though, but Devontae Smith's proven that wrong. He really is. He's having a great season. Okay, so tight ends. Jalen Watermeyer, he was 20 overall going into the draft last year, which I was very surprised about. Well, it's preseason. This year he's 43, which I'm also very surprised about because I really don't consider him. I don't consider a lot of these tight ends as second round draft capital type guys. I think some of them can be like 3rd round for sure, but I'm not really too excited about this class. Anyway, Jalen Watermeyer to me, he's going to be the very athletic guy. He's kind of going to be he's going to be like Jonnu Smith, where he's going to be very athletic. I think he's going to blow out the combine, and he'll definitely get some buzz for that. But not really too impressed with his gameplay. I don't know. I don't really do tight ends. I'm sorry. I really don't. The next one is Trey McBride. Love Trey McBride. He actually has typical tight end size. He was 110 overall, and now he's 46 overall. So early second, mid second, around there. Like him, Jimmy Ruckert. Jimmy Ruckert goes to Ohio. He was 76. He's now 85. If you look up Rutgers like highlight tape, it's fun. Very short. It's very short. It's like 2 minutes, and it's like all these one-handed catches. And Ohio State just doesn't throw it to the tight end. So he doesn't really have the opportunity. I believe he's going to the Senior Bowl. I think almost all these tight ends are, honestly. And that's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to watch. You're going to see some reports about him, and I can't wait to hear more about him. Cade Otton, I'm not about. He was 50 overall, and he's dropped to 102. So stay away. Barely in that 3rd round draft capital range. Tight end for Washington. He's just been a ghost this year. He just, and then Isaiah Likely, who I do like, pun intended. He is, I missed it. He's also dropped, which I was surprised about, from 78 overall to 110. So he's actually outside 3rd round draft capital. I just wanted to give you 5 prospects that are like, 5 of the top prospects in each category at like minimum. So that's why I threw him in there. I like him. I don't have much more to say about it. I don't think he's a good blocker. Again, this is fantasy football though, so I really rather him just run out there and catch balls. Kind of like Mike Gesicki. Like Mike Gesicki doesn't block. He doesn't line up with the lineman. And I think Isaiah Likely could be that type of prospect as a tight end. G5 guy too. I don't really have any data on G5 tight ends. I don't really look into tight ends again. I'm sorry. I'm sounding so negative about tight ends. But those are the 5 guys. According to mock draft trends, like these are the top 5. So, I mean, that wraps up our episode for today. Thanks to everyone for joining me. I really appreciate it. Any comments, questions, you can find me on Twitter. My DMs are open. I always respond because I'm not popular enough. So, don't got a lot of attention, but I got your back. If you need help or my opinion, I'm always there. Now, once again, just to hammer this home, the mock draft trends, it's about guys before the season started to how the league and how analysts view them now after a full season. Also, COVID last year was a shortened season, so I think this is actually pretty important stuff. So, yeah, these are your top prospects according to the industry. Nothing to do with my stuff, not my rankings, not my bias. I pointed out the players that have minimal data points. So again, take that with a grain of salt. That's not me just sneaking them in. That's me trying to be like, these guys really aren't like being drafted, mock draft in that area. Yeah, that's it. Hey, thanks for joining me on Devy Friday, brought to you by Tuesday. If you're thinking, wow, Mike's ahead of the game today. No, I'm really behind. This is supposed to be from 5 days ago. So again, really appreciate you guys as my supporters, and I can't wait for the next Devy Friday. And maybe I do it on a Friday for once. Maybe I will. I don't even know what I'm going to do next week actually, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I got no preview for you. And then one more announcement too. We didn't tweet it out. We will tweet this out. Me and Jake will not be doing the Tuesday episodes for Dynasty. Just speaking from honesty here, me and Jake do great Dynasty work, but we really excel at this off-season stuff. Me and him have nailed our rookie picks. We nail them every year, that's what we think we excel at, is going from that transition from college to NFL. He's got his analytical model. I like to watch film. I put in the analytics too. We put them together and they get married. I'm like a little kid with 2 dolls making them kiss. That's what me and Jake like to do, and that's where our passion is. It's not that we don't want to help you guys out during the season. We just think there's a lot of other people that do really great in-season work, and they do a lot of that we don't really know if we're contributing that much, And so we really enjoy these rookie stuff. So we wanted to build the follower base, which is why we started mid-season. But this is what we enjoy. I enjoy this college Devy and stuff like that, and he enjoys like the rookie profile stuff. So I got a little deep into it. He hasn't taken that dive yet, but that's why what I'm saying is we'll be back. We'll be back. We're gonna be the best in the industry. We're gonna do it. We're gonna come in. We're gonna tell you, hey, don't pick Josh Palmer. That guy didn't catch more than 500 yards his entire career in college, and he's a contested catch guy. Like, don't pick Josh Palmer. That's a waste of space. And I know you're thinking, oh, the opportunity. Like, no, it's okay. You can let him go. Amari Rodgers can't separate in college. How's he going to separate in the NFL? And you know what? He ran the slot in college plenty and couldn't separate in the slot. Who can't separate in the slot? That's how the Patriots won like 3 Super Bowls. It's just slot guys. Anyway, me and Jake are here to tell you who to pick in your rookie drafts, and don't make the mistake of picking up these clickbait guys because some guy with more followers than us is like, yeah, this guy's great. Like, yeah, all right. I don't want to start bashing other people's work, all right, but don't get me going. Don't get me going. Anyway, thanks for joining us, you guys. We're sorry about the in-season stuff. I'm going to continue the Devy podcast for you guys because I really enjoy talking college football players going to the NFL. The CTC guys want me to get more about the freshmen. I really can't. I mean, I watch like high school tape and I'm like, okay, this guy's a little bigger than most of the other high schoolers and he's killing it. Like, I can't do it. I'll get there though. I will. But at the moment, the juniors and seniors are my bread and butter, and I love doing this stuff for you guys. So thanks again for joining us. Join us next Friday. Who knows what day of the week that'll be, but you can join us for the next Devy Friday. All right. You guys have a good night.